Okay guys, welcome back to another Scrap and Irish video. And you would have seen in a video where I ran a sample before of about 100 grams of this powder from, well, two different types of powder, but this was the one that showed the best result for gold in it, or precious metals at least, anyhow, of some sort. I'm presuming it's gold from gold bond wires. So this is the full video now of me running the whole lot, but I will be keeping 50 grams of it aside, just for another experiment that someone asked me, is it possible to do, and I'm going to try. So the other video that will be coming at some stage is it possible to dissolve gold bond wires in hydrochloric and bleach for people who cannot get nitric acid. So again, I will find out, and there's only one way to find out, and that's to try it. So that'll be in a video at some stage, but for now, let me get the 50 grams and put it aside first. So let's get 50 grams if I can. There we go. So we know this because we ran the first test on it, had gold in it. Now it came back, well, positive for things. So we'll try and just get 50 grams that I'm going to put aside. It's just for a test. It's just going to be an experiment. Right, just over 50 grams. So that'll be put aside, and that'll be ran on another experiment to see what we have. So what are we going working with now? Well, let me zero this. Oh, well, that didn't work out too well. Zero this. So we've that turned on, zeroed. So we have to work with a third of a kg there, or for those people who like to do ounces, 12 ounces, or 3/4 of a pound. Now, when I ran the last two, I had forgot that I also had a third one. So I'm actually going to put the third one in here, and I'm going to hope there's some gold in here, but maybe there mightn't be, but we'll do it anyhow, because I'd forgot that we had this one. So it's going to have to be ran through at some stage, and I'm not going to run another experiment on it. So that's gone way over, so I don't know why that happened. Let's set that back to zero. So we're at zero again, and let's see what our total weight will be. Now, some of this is very powdery, as you can see. So again, didn't really put much more, did it, up in kgs? We've got, oh yeah, it did. So 1 pound and 13 ounces, or 1.8 pounds of powder. So again, first thing, wash it in nitric. That's going to be the first thing I'm going to do. I'm going to wash it in nitric, so I'll have some nitric and distilled water heating up outside, and we're going to start adding this stuff to it. I'm going to add a little bit at a time, and I'll keep adding, and I'm going to have to keep putting nitric in as need be to wash out all the base metals. So I'm not going to sit you all through that. I'll just show you getting started, and I'll show you some of the reactions, and we'll go from there. I still am going to process this at some stage, but not on this run. I'm just going to do this batch first, and then we have another bit to do again at some stage, but I'll probably do that. I don't need to be showing you that. It's going to be very low yield on that. I might show you a drop on it or something like that. So for the moment, let's go outside and get this into the acid. Okay guys, so we have moved outside. Sorry if there's a bit of a glare coming off there with the sun, but it is a nice day, and that's when I like to try and get some of my gold recovery done. So I've using this stirring rod and temperature gauge to give me an idea of what temperature we're at. So we're up to 40 degrees in there at the moment. So I'm going to start adding into it. I'll keep that for stirring actually. So all I'm going to do is just add in a little bit of powder, stir it around and go from there. Maybe that was a bit too much, but anyhow. So we'll stir that around so that the nitric can start to work on it. So all that's in there, guys, is, as you can see, we're nearly up to 3,000 millilitres. And I've put about 200 millilitres of nitric acid, and the rest is distilled water for the moment, because there is a lot of powder, so there should be a lot of base metals to deal with. So we'll add a bit more. Again, hopefully not as much this time, but you can never guarantee, because the way it comes out of the container is the way it goes in. So again, we'll just let the acid work on that. We are getting some fumes coming off now, so we'll let that work. I can always add a bit more distilled water if it starts to get no reaction, and a bit more nitric acid, so I've left enough room to do that. So I'm going to add a small bit more. And by a small bit I mean a lot. Okay, that'll do for the moment. I'm going to cover that and let the reaction work on that. So I'll leave that in there and we'll cover that, and I'm sure we can come back in a while and see how the reaction is going. Okay guys, so as you can see the reaction is happening, so hopefully we don't get a boil over, but we could possibly now. When I was telling you this 3,000 mil, I meant it was a 3,000 milliliter container, and I have it up just over, well I had it at just under 1,500 milliliters, but because I've added in the powder, all of it has gone in now, bar a little bit down here in the bottom of the container, not much left. We've got that, so I'll try and zoom in. I'm standing well away from it, and that's why I need to bring you in to get you to look at it. So you can see there we have a reaction happening in there. So heat at the moment is about, say, 60 degrees in there. So we'll leave that at that, working away for a few hours, and once I see there's no more reaction, I'll add a bit more nitric acid, and we'll go from there. I'll stir it every so often. I will take it off heat every so often and put it back on heat and stuff like that, and give it a good stir around. And so I'm going to keep just doing that until it's totally washed. So there's no need for you guys to be looking at that. Let's go back out. That should be enough. So yeah, you can see what's happening. So if I did lift the lid off the top, give me a second till I get to it. So as you see in there, when I lifted the lid off, the fumes came out and went into the atmosphere. But by keeping the lid on, I'm not letting as much fumes out in any one time, and that way it's a bit safer, it's regulated a bit better, and we'll go from there. So come back once we've completed this stage. No point you looking at this, guys, again, because you've seen this in loads of videos. So all I'm doing with this, and the reason I'm doing it, is to get rid of the base metals. We might get some silver out of it, hard to know if there was silver in there or not, and so we might get some silver in that out of it, and then we can move it on to Aqua Regia and finally get a gold drop, hopefully, out of it. So come back once we've finished the nitric wash. Okay guys, so I just let that carry on. I didn't bother showing you a lot more of it. I just let it carry on, and let the nitric do its work on the base metals, and now I have finished it. So I'll show you what I've left with. So I was left with 2 containers. What I done was I split it. After I done the first nitric wash and the second nitric wash, I actually split it into 2 containers. So we've one here, and let me put him down, and we have a second one here, because there was a lot of powder, so I didn't want to go too deep into it, and try and just mix it and stuff. It was getting harder and harder to make sure that the nitric was getting everything out, all the base metal. So I split it into 2 containers. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to leave it in the 2 containers, and I'm going to again, on the base of it, I don't know, can you see it or not? Can't really, but you might be able to see some of it. But what I'll do again is I'll show you a photo of both of them. So the first photo I'll show will be of this one, and the second photo will be of the other one, and you will see one shows a lot more gold than the other, and I'm presuming it's gold because when I ran the test it dissolved. There was no more of that goldy colour stuff left underneath, or brassy colour, or whatever way you want to look at it. There was no more of that left, so I'm presuming that was gold bond wires that, the way when I was stirring it, they had fallen first and they'd given that little circle, and I'm presuming that's what it is. So have a look at these photos. Okay, now that you've seen the photos, you can make up your own mind. Do you think that was, again, gold bond wires that's there? So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to move this wash bottle for a minute. And I have, in behind here, you can't really see it, let me bring you over to it. Over here we have some nitric acid. And in here, of course, we have our HCl. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to put this onto the heat. Hopefully it doesn't crack it, because it was going from cold to hot, but it doesn't seem to have. And what I'm going to do is, let me just turn this up a bit so you can see what's happening. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add enough HCl to cover that, and then we'll drop in some nitric acid into it. So let me get the HCl opened, or muriatic acid if you want to call it that way. So again, usually I'd measure it out, but I'm not going to bother, because what I'm going to be doing on this one is, so again, I'll stir that up so that it wets as much of the powder as we can possibly get moving around it. Okay, and I'm just going to add about 2 mils of nitric acid to get us going. So I'm just going to so that's 2 mils of nitric acid gone in there, and I'm just going to let that work away. I'll put a wash dish over it, and we'll let that work away on the heat, and we'll come back in a while and see how it's getting on. So come back and see how it's getting on, and my plan is, once I've got rid of that, I don't see any more of that gold rings in the bottom of the container. I presume there's going to be enough, and I'm going to take that liquid and I'm going to add it to this one, and then I'll start again re-adding a bit of hydrochloric acid and nitric acid as need be, till I get the reaction going on that and get the thing, rather than doing 2 separate lots. I'll take the liquid from here after I bring it through and put it through into that one, and again I'll add a bit more nitric in that, and then hopefully we can add that liquid to the liquid from the test run we did in a previous video, which is there, and we'll do a gold drop and we'll see how it is. So come back once the reaction has started on that. Okay guys, so I've left this run for a few hours. It's getting a bit darker out here now, but as you can see, we're still getting a little bit of reaction bubbling and stuff like that. We didn't get a major reaction, which is a-okay, but I suppose the best thing to do is turn it off the heat for a moment. We'll take this off. So it will be quite warm or hot. And what I'm going to do next is I'm just going to test it. So just to see if we have any gold in solution or precious metal in solution. So again, we'll pour a few drops of that in. And we'll get our stannous chloride to test it. So again, we're looking for a dark reaction, like going a black color or something like that. So you can see the solution there. So let's put a few drops of this in. Oh yes, we're getting a instant reaction for gold bearing material. So what I'm going to do now is, let me just put this reaction aside, but you can see there again, just to show you, that is a very good black reaction for it. So we're getting a nice reaction. I'll just put the tops back on this. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just pause it there for a minute while I move this. I'm going to take this off the heat and I'm going to put the other one onto the heat, and I'm going to pour this solution into here so that it can start working on the second one. And don't worry, I'm not going to dispose of that because there's still maybe some precious metals in the bottom, but we're going to just swap this around. So I'm going to take that off. I'm going to put this on over here. That'll go on and it'll be in the other catch jar. So let me do that. Okay, so I have the other solution ready to go. So we're just going to pour the contents from this one in here. Now, I don't know, can you see that on the base of this? Let me turn that up. So you can see some sort of discolorization there. So I don't know what that is, whether that was where the gold was or what it is or what's happened there. I can still see there's a couple of things. So I'm going to leave that and we'll mix that up again with some of this more solution again. So I'm going to just put this aside and cover it. Now, so we have the mixed solution. So again, I'm just going to stir that around. We'll put the cash jar over it. Oh, and we'll let that work away on this material, on the heat, and we'll come back and maybe tomorrow or something like that. So I'll let it work away for a few hours and I'll come back and we'll have a look at this one. So let's see how we got on with the next one. Okay guys, so it's the next day and I have that one just still boiling up. Let me throw that aside for a minute. Fine, I'll put it over here. It's a different one. So it's the next day and I have been boiling up the rest of the stuff that was left. So what I have is I have that container, then I have still some in here that's been going from the last time I done the little sample run. I still have this from the really where we got a poor enough return. We didn't get a great return. It didn't go really black when I tested it. It went black after a while, but I've been I've let that sit in there for a good while, so that it's got time to maybe dissolve some more of the gold bond wires that may have been in there. So I have that, and I also have the one that we got the really good reaction from. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a sample of them all again here now, and we're going to test them, and we're going to see which one gives the best reaction now. Again, I'm expecting a very good reaction from that. We should still get the good reaction from that one. This one over here, I don't know what I'm going to get from that. That took a while to change last time. It may have improved this time. And this one is just kind of, I don't know what, it's mainly just a bit of distilled water that was in there washing out of where I've washed this into here, if you get what I mean. But it can be a bit hard to follow, but I know what's happening. So that's all that matters. So what we're going to do is we're going to go clockwise. So on this will be 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, okay? So we're going to go for 12 o'clock. Actually, I'm going to let that settle a bit first, because I just stirred that up, so I want to let it, I don't want to put a rake of sediment in here. So we'll start with, on my test, we'll start with the one that's been sitting for a while, which is, if I can bring you over to it, is this one, is the one the last day when we done the sample on the really fine powder, and we got a poor enough test result on it. So we'll take a sample of that and we'll put that at the 12 o'clock here. So again, a little sample of it. So that's the 12 o'clock. Let me get another dropper, because I don't want to contaminate them differently. Give me a second, I'll get another dropper. Okay, so I've got another dropper. I still have the other one here. And what I'm going to do now, I'll just leave that down here for a minute. I'm going to take from this container, which again is, we know had gold in it the last time we tested it, but I don't expect it to have changed, because all we done was filtered it and put it into a jar, so there shouldn't be really any difference. So this one will go into the 1 o'clock, so roughly 1 o'clock. So again, just a little sample. Now let me get another dropper. Okay, so now I think we're fairly okay on this one. We'll take a sample of this one. It's got a little bit of sediment in there, but won't be too bad. It'll do for testing, hopefully. So you can see it's kind of already a dark colour, but that's from the sediment, not from doing anything else. And we'll put that dropper over here. I need to get one more dropper. Is this the one I want? Yeah, this one is a clean dropper, so we'll get him. And I don't really expect this to show anything, because again, it's mainly just sediment that's in there. So we'll throw that sample in there, because again, it's just water and sediment where I was washing there to try and get any more thing. So I'll just get my dropper for the stannous chloride and we'll test them all. Okay, so again we have our stannous and a dropper for that. Okay, so 12 o'clock is came up as the low grade the last day. Let's see what we're getting now. it's changing a bit better. We're getting a quicker change. This was the one that changed really quick the last day. Yeah, instant again, very black. This one is again instant black because that's coming from here, and this one over here is just really just shouldn't. No, it is. We're getting an instant black. So all 4 of them containers contain gold. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour them all into the one container, and any sediment in there and just any excess nitric might use up any more of the gold bond wires that are still left there, but I don't think there's anything left. I'm going to do that, heat it up again, and we'll come back ready to filter it all, and we'll see what we end up at, and then we might have to reduce it down a bit before we do the drop. But this will give us a good idea of what we're going to end up with on actual gold from these ram chips. I know there is still one container of very fine powder that needs to be done, but we could always add it into the liquid here now because it's not going to make much of a difference, but we'll see. So yeah, I'm just going to put all these containers in together, so it's not really going to make a difference. So we can pour this one in. Now what I'm going to do off pan is I'm going to take all these powders in here and add it into this as well. Same over here. So again we have a lot of that powder, and I'm going to add it in here and make sure that it uses up as much of that nitric as possible and there's nothing left over. And we're going to do, and we know this already has the gold in it, but I'm going to add it back in here because there's probably still a lot of nitric needs to be used up in it. Now the bit that's left on the bottom, I'm not going to worry about that because when I'm filtering, I'll be filtering back into this jar. So I'm going to put that back up, turn up the heat a bit, and I'm going to stir that up, and I'm going to let it run again for a few hours, and we'll come back when I'm ready to filter. And in the meantime, I'm going to get this powder as well, and I'm going to add that to these containers and make sure that we get every gold bond wire we can out of it. I'm just going to check the base of this to see if I can see any gold tracks on it like what was in the photos, and I don't see any there. So I'm thinking it's dissolved all the gold bond wires, but just to be 100% sure, I'll put it through that into this Aqua regia and make sure it does, and we'll be ready to filter and hopefully get a good gold drop out of it. So let's come back when I'm ready to filter. Okay guys, so we're ready to filter. I've just been sitting for a few days, and you can see the sediment is all settled to the bottom and the liquid is above it. Now what I want to try and do is make sure I don't get any sediment through my filters yet. I'm sure at some stage we'll get it in and we'll have to wash a bit of it out, but for the moment we're going to think it has been raining quite heavy for the last few days, so it's been sitting for a few days, so it should be well settled. So all I'm going to do, as you can see here, is I have set up my filter and we're just going to start pouring this off. So I'm trying not to disturb an awful lot of that dust and stuff at the bottom. It's quite heavy, a lot of liquid, so I'm going to need to evaporate some of this afterwards to bring it down to a more manageable amount. Okay, so as you can see, that's just filtering away, so I'm going to let that carry on. I'll do this and we'll come back once it's fully filtered, and we'll need to pour it back into a jug again and put it on heat to bring down the amount, because it's going to be quite a large amount, because I've done 3 different batches in there essentially. And then we're going to neutralize the excess nitric, and hopefully drop some gold. So come back once we're ready, once the filtering is finished. Okay guys, so now I have filtered it all out and we are left. This is where I washed out the what was left, the sediment, just to make sure we get all the nitric out of it and any gold bearing materials, just to make sure. So what we'll have to do again, as usual, we're going to have to test it. So just to see if there's any gold material in it. Now it's starting to rain, which I didn't really want it to start, but anyhow, nothing I can do about that. So we're going to put a bit in there and we're going to test it, because I know there's gold material in here and I don't need to test that, but I want to see if there's any gold in this. So again, we have our stannous, which I have inside of this container. So we'll take a little bit of stannous and we'll see if we get a positive for gold. And we have again gone black instantly. So again, that is exactly what I wanted to see. So there is some gold material in there. So what I'm going to have to do now is I'm going to pour them into this container, put it on heat and evaporate some of this down so we don't have as much liquid to deal with. So again, it's just going to be put on heat. Now it's going to start raining by the looks of it, so I'm not going to be able to do it straight away, but I'll put it on heat and evaporate as much of this liquid down as I can possibly get down. So let's see, so we can mix both together, it's not going to make any difference. So let me open this container. It's a bit awkward reaching over the camera. So that's up to, as you can see here, if I bring you over here, it's up to nearly 1.6. So we're just under 1.6, and if I add this in here, it'll bring me up even more. But what I'm going to do first, I'm going to put this on heat first and try and get it down a bit, and then we'll put this on, which has more water in it, and get that down as well. And I might keep them separate, I don't know, we'll see, because I have another one I want to another wash that I need to check and see if there's still any gold material in the wash from the next one I done. But so in the meantime, I'm going to bring these down and try to get these down to a manageable level, because I don't want them too high for doing the gold drop, because as soon as I go denoxing we might get a boil over if it's too high. So by having it down a bit, we'll be able to think, and I'll probably transfer it into a bigger 3 litre one anyway, instead of the 2 litre one eventually. So that's the plan. So come back when we're ready to do the denox, because you don't need to see me putting this on heat and leaving it on heat for a length of time to get it to bring it down in level. So I'm going to just stick that on heat. So we'll let that boil away and try and drop that liquid down a bit. So we'll close this one off and come back once we're ready to denox and get ready to drop the gold. Right, so we're ready to drop some gold, hopefully, and you can see we have 3 different colours, which is telling me some of it is dirtier than others. So I'm presuming that's the dirtiest, the darker with the green in it. I presume that's purer, and maybe that's middle of the thing. But again, what we'll have to do first is test it to see if there's gold in there. So we're going to try dropping this one first, or will we drop this one in the middle first? Which one will I drop first? We'll drop this one first. So we'll test it to see if there's any gold in it, precious metals in it. So that's all we need. So I'll leave that there. Let me get my stannous. and we'll bring this closer so you can see. It's a bit breezy, but hopefully there we go. Instant reaction for gold, so we know there's gold in there. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to neutralize it using sulfamic acid. I usually use urea, but urea can be hit and miss, and you can do a couple of different things with it, and it can be more hassle than anything else. So I'm going to neutralize it using sulfamic acid. So what I'll do is I'll put you closer to that if I can, so you can see what's happening. Yeah, so you might be able to see the reaction. So what I will be doing is dropping this in very lightly, and you should see it fizzing up. So let me get onto that. So we'll just put a little bit in at a time. You can see it's gone in there. Not a great reaction. I was expecting a lot more reaction than that. Maybe there was no nitric left. That's very weird. I was expecting. Let me stir that around a bit. We're getting no reaction whatsoever. So I'm wondering, had it neutralized it already? Had we no nitric acid left over on that one? Which I presume we should have had. Let me check this one. So let's see if we get any reaction here, because sulfamic acid should give us a reaction if there's nitric acid left in solution, but maybe we got rid of it all. So again, no reaction. So this is a bit weird. And let me go to the last one. Which is here. And again, no reaction. So that is very weird. That we're getting no reaction on any of them. I'm almost sure there's still some nitric left there. But as you can see, on this one, sulfamic acid is just sitting down at the bottom, so I'm going to have to refilter that one because we don't want that left in there. That's weird because it should react, and I wasn't expecting the nitric acid to be gone. So let me filter that out and go again. Okay guys, so I've refiltered it and just left it in this jar instead. I didn't bother putting it back in the beaker. I just left it there. So I'm going to there was no reaction on the sulfamic acid, so I'm just going to drop it with SMB and see what happens. If it doesn't happen, then we can just go back and retrace our steps and see what went wrong. We might have to go back to neutralizing with urea. So we'll have a look now in a second. So no reaction for a drop yet with the SMB. It could be a slow drop. We might have to leave it. I might have to add some more SMB, but nothing seems to be happening yet. Again, there was no fizzing from, so I presume everything is neutralized. So we let that work away and we'll come back in a while and see did anything drop. Might need to add a little bit more SMB, but we'll see. Okay guys, so it's been maybe 5-10 minutes and we are getting a darkening solution. So hopefully we're getting a drop now. So it looks like it's going to be one of them drops. It's going to be a overnight drop, which can be slow and painful. So I might have to leave that. And I did add a small bit more SMB, as you can see. So hopefully that will get it to drop. So I'm going to leave the other two until this one drops before I start dropping another one. I want to make sure that it is going to drop okay before we move on to the next ones. I just couldn't understand how the nitric is used up, but maybe that means there's still some gold material left in the powder. So good job I didn't throw away the powder yet. So we can do another run of it at some stage, not for a video, I'll just do it myself. But yeah, I'm going to let that drop there now, and hopefully we get some gold out of it. It's going to be a dirty drop, so I'm going to need to refine that, but that doesn't matter. We hopefully will get cleaner drop from one of the other ones. So I'll let that run overnight and we'll come back when it's dropped. Okay guys, so it's the next day and this is not what I expected to see. What I'll show you is we did get a drop. If you look in here and you'll see stuff moving around down there in the bottom. So there is a drop of sorts, whatever it is. Whether it's gold or not gold is a good question. But the colour is what's making, so you can see, I don't know, can you see it down there, the whatever it is, the powder that has dropped in there. So I'm presuming it is some gold, but I'm presuming there's still a lot more in there because of that colour. We're not getting the clear colour that I was expecting to have. So of course I'm going to have to test it, the solution. So we'll do a test in there, and we bring this out here and bring the camera down for it. Bring the camera down for it, and we'll move that solution back and we'll zoom in on it. Wrong way. I am sorry, but I'm wearing gloves, and of course when you're wearing gloves the phone doesn't react as good. There we go. Okay, so that's our solution. So we'll drop a little bit of stannous chloride into it and see what we get. Okay, so we're not, oh we are, there we go. So still precious metal in there, so just dropped some but hasn't dropped at all. Now I put enough SMB in there to knock a dead elephant, or knock an elephant dead. So I have a decision to make. Do I keep adding more SMB? The other way would be probably copperas, which I don't have at the moment, so copperas will be a way of dropping it. And my third choice is going to be to drop the everything that's in that solution using aluminium, or copper. If you want, you can just put copper in and let it drop bit by bit and take a while, or you can put aluminium in and drop everything and start again from the very beginning. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I'm going to have to think on this. So this is the end of the video, unfortunately. So you can see there it's gone very black. So we do have a lot of precious metal still in there. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do. Whether I'll order some coppers and see can we do it that way, or whether I just drop everything and re-refine, because I was going to re-refine anyhow. I was going to purify it because of what I knew was going to be a dirty drop out of this solution for definite. But I didn't expect this problem. As I say, the sulfamic acid didn't give any reaction, foaming up or anything, so I presumed all the nitric was used up. So then obviously it didn't use all the nitric up, and presume that's the problem. Is it bad nitric? Is it bad SMB? What's causing it? I always get this issue lately from doing, whenever I'm using nitric to do a drop. If I'm using the HCl and bleach, I don't get any issue. Sorry about the noise, someone's cutting trees down there somewhere. Yeah, so unfortunately you're not going to get to see a gold drop. Well, you got to see a bit of a gold drop, but it's not exactly what we were expecting. You can see that the powder's down there in the bottom as I turn it. But it's not what you expected. You can see it just forming here in the center. So I don't know what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to probably do the aluminium method to drop everything. So again, if you haven't seen that, I'll do a video on it, because I might as well bring you through the stages to show, in case people think that when I do finally do a drop, that it's not still the same stuff from the chips, because I want to see, is there gold in them chips and what there is and how much and stuff like that. So more than likely it's going to be dropped with aluminium, but I'll see what you say in the comments. What's your way? I'm thinking I'm just going to put some aluminium in there and just drop everything out of it. So thanks for watching, guys. Sorry there's no gold drop at the end of this longer video than usual, but we'll try and get this gold eventually. It's playing, it's fighting. The A-Waste Mike has put a curse on me. He doesn't want me to get the gold from it. So anyhow, let's see what happens. Thanks for watching, guys, and catch you on the next one.